Well, a simple repair today. Today we got the JBL A3001 and we're having some issues with our RCAs. I made a temporary repair and I've already taken the honor of pulling the back off for us. One of the RCAs was not, let me just turn around. One of the RCA poles, the male part, was not making contact on one of the leads. So, because it is a monoblock amplifier, I said, hey, what's the harm? I made a jumper from the one that was making contact over to the other one, and that seemed to work for a little while, but just the other day, something else started not making contact. So today we're disassembling it, and I've already taken off some of the transistor heat clips that help press it against the aluminum housing for cooling. They're pretty simple to take on and off. You take your time and be careful. Up next, we're gonna see the board sliding out. I have a couple more of these to remove. Actually, just one more clip to remove. We'll pull off our end caps. And in theory, after we bend all of the transistors in just a little bit off the wall of the housing, this PC board will slide out. From there on, we can go ahead and disassemble and unsolder this whole housing. Take a look at what's going on. All of these have been pulled away. They're very easy to pull away. I was able just to grab them like this and pull them away. Two more left to do. All right, got all the rest of these pulled off. I'm wearing rubber gloves because I don't know if these are still holding any charge, and I'm not trying to find out the hard way. So I pulled off the end caps. Very simple. There's corresponding screws, and I have everything organized. End cap screws, and these hold all of the main components to the end cap. So we'll set these aside and continue extracting the board. I think I'm going to do this off camera though, because I want to be very careful. So it ended up being extremely easy. I did find one set screw that held the PC board to the chassis and got it removed here. Set it here at corresponding placement for everything else. So look how easy this came out. Amazing. Amazing. I sound like Jesse Lee Peterson. All right. I'll get back to you after we flip it over and get ready for desoldering. Right, as the photos you just saw, you can see that I've got this unmounted from here. I made some homemade wick and just, gooped it up, unsoldered it off. I'm not gonna flip it over. Everything's super delicate right now, especially with all the transistors just sitting abroad. But anyways, you get the point. Unsolder, 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 unsolder. So, also, this is what's at fault. When the RCAs are going in, they're not making contact. Now, I've learned that this can be disassembled. It's ultrasonically welded together, but that some super glue can't do later. So we're going to use the Dremel tool, and we're going to undremel the little ultrasonic weld button you see right there. And we're trying to disassemble these. Worst case scenario is that I just make some leads off of here with some wires, and I will feed this amplifier signal via hard wire. It's not super important to me. I've got a new amplifier already on the way, and a subwoofer. But I thought it'd be fun to try to save this amplifier before it just gets set on the shelf and forgotten about and broken even further. So if anything, I'd like to repair it and try to give it away to a friend. So that's what we're gonna do. So right now we're gonna disassemble this. I gotta have two hands, so I'll get back to you when I do it. Okay, this is amazing to me. I've never once disassembled an RCA jack this far. I mean, I knew that it wasn't just molded in one machine, but I'm actually very fascinated by this. But anyways, I knew that we were getting a negative contact, which is going to be this component here, and I knew that these were making contact because every once in a while I would plug in the RCA, and I would get. I could tell that the amplifier was only producing, because it's a full bridge, that one of the push-pull transistor circuits in here, only half of it was working. I was only getting a half of the possibility of power coming out of it. And that was because only one of them was making contact. And this is our culprit. So inside of I wish I had one here, but when the jack goes in, this is what makes contact on the pole. And these are too loose. So I'm going to tighten these up. I'm going to do the same thing for this one. And we're going to reassemble. It's going to be kind of a pain though, because if I don't get it right and I put it all the way back on the board, and then I find out and reassemble everything and find out that it didn't actually function, I'm going to be pretty bummed out. But we're at the point of no return, so here he goes. I'm going to get this repaired, and I'll see you in a second. I also found that let me focus in on here, let me get some better light. You can see these ultrasonically melted posts that were supposed to help support the whole structure on the PC board. And I tell you what, when I unsoldered these, it came right out. There was no resistance from these, so these were not supported correctly. I'm going to go ahead and make the repair, and then solder this on, test it out, and if everything goes good, I'm going to drop some glue here, or I might melt them down with my soldering iron a little more. I think I'll do the soldering iron thing, that way if it had to come out, I can get it out. And there we have it, reassembled. And if you didn't know, baking soda makes super glue set immediately. Not only does it make it set immediately, but it also gives it some sort of substance. It creates literally like a cement, some sort of substructure within the glue. So that the ultrasonic peg that we ground out, I filled with super glue, and I went with super glue all the way around that, pressed that together, glued that, just held it together like this, and used my other hand to sprinkle some baking soda on it, and then used my breath to blow it away. Done. Then I went and repeated this here. Originally we had a factory clip here that I broke off, so I pressed this tight like this, added glue, and did the same process with baking soda and blew it off. Then I also did one here. So this thing is more solid than it ever was, which I'm super satisfied with. So the next step now is to get it resoldered onto the board. I gotta have 2 hands for that, so I'll get back to you when I'm done with that. As I was soldering it back in, those little plastic pegs that held it to the board ended up being very difficult. I used the Dremel and removed them. I'm gonna set this down flush to the board, and later I will glue this to the board, giving it structural strength. Also, I did one more test fit with an RCA cord that I had in the garage. I pressed it in, and because I made the fitting tighter in there, it wanted to push the prong out of the housing. So I used super glue and some more baking soda and reinforce it across the back. That's not going anywhere. If this doesn't work, we're gonna hardwire it, and it is what it is until my new amplifier comes. But this thing is way more complicated than I thought it was, but it was super fun to work on something so intricate. So I think we're good. We're gonna put it back in the board now. All right, board's back installed. I tell you what, these things come off way easier than they go on. And when you're pressing them on, you're praying. I mean, you are praying that nothing goes awry and you bam, hit something, or bam and hit something, because you just throw it right in the trash if you do, because it's maybe done after that. But anyways, I got all of the transistor clips on against the heatsink. I've got a couple more end cap screws to put on here. We'll cap it and we'll go outside for a test.